So y'all just ask away.
So, no Shakira this year.
Mm-hmm.
Who on this team could be that emotional leader that, and not just from a production standpoint, but you know, oftentimes she kind of put everything on her shoulders.
Well, we've been trying to, I think that's a perfect fit for Maddie. We've been trying, she plays with a lot of passion, but as a junior, I'm like, Maddie, when we market you to pro scouts, I want them to say you're full of energy, full of passion, and just your activity level is out of this world. So we're depending on that from her. And so hopefully you all kind of see that as she grows into her new role.
Couple of exhibition actions already. What have you learned about this team at this point? And what are the things that you hope to fix between Friday night against Delta State and Monday night against Kennesaw?
Well, you know, I think Memphis saved my job this year because, like I told you, they really exposed us, and I thought it gave us an opportunity to have stuff on film and say, okay, this is, you know, what we're up against from a team who I think will be an NCAA tournament team. And so we really worked on that and focused on that. The Delta State game was for a bunch of reasons. One, you know, obviously Lucy Harris, that meant a lot to me when I found out about her story. And I wanted to continue to keep her name alive and celebrate her. For those that don't know, she was the first female to be drafted by an NBA team. She didn't play, but she didn't go. She wanted to stay home. She turned it down. But, you know, when Delta State was the team in the state, you know, she was there and she was a part of that. So I wanted to keep that going. And the second thing was I wanted to get under the lights. Last year, I didn't think we got under the lights until Belmont, and you see how that happened. It was just awful. And with all the new pieces, even as a staff, we needed to be under the lights, from video all the way up to me, just to see how I like things, you know, how is it going to work. So we just want to continue to build on, you know, the things that we were exposed in the Memphis scrimmage, and then just figuring out, which is going to be a process for a little while longer, is figuring out who we want to be as Team 48, you know, and that's just going to take time.
You took this group to the NCAA tournament last year, and whether they're fair or not, the expectations are for you guys to get back there again this year. What are your expectations for this group?
You know, it's funny you said that because I think right now, which is allowing me to have a really clear focus, is I'm going like one day at a time. So I can't even really focus on Kennesaw yet. I'm so indulged in my team and us having a great practice today. Last year, I could confidently say, you know, it's NCAA tournament or bust, because I felt like we had done enough. It was our second group, their second year. I felt good about the pieces we had coming in. This year, I got 9 new players. What I don't want to do is give them expectation to think far beyond. If we take care of each game one at a time, then maybe we look up and we find ourselves in a position to go back to the NCAA tournament. Now, postseason for sure is the goal. That is no doubt about it. But NCAA tournament is something eventually I want our program, like that's just an expectation. And I think we're probably, if I'm being honest, I think we're like 2 years away of saying, okay, every year they're going to go to the tournament now. You know, you guys will be saying, can she get to the super regional, you know, or whatever the case may be. But that's really where I'm at with it. You know, I'm not saying that that's not something that we want to do. I'm just saying, like, right now, my focus is Thursday, today.
An early exit from the NCAA tournament last year.
Yeah.
If you think back on that game and how it played out, I mean, did you learn anything? I know every team's a new team, but did you learn anything as a coach from that first NCAA tournament game here?
Absolutely. It was, for me, it was, as a head coach, it was my second. But It's funny. My first time we played South Carolina, and they were number one in the country. We were 16 seed, so at Jacksonville. So this was the first time we went to the tournament, and people felt like, had we gotten past the first round, who knows what could happen. Uh, One of the things I just learned was, it takes time. I look at South Dakota, and they had been to the tournament, I think 3 years in a row, and lost in the first round 3 years in a row with the same team. And so at some point, they're going to figure out how to get past that. And not only did they get past us, they got past Baylor too. So they were primed, experienced, and ready to go. And so the experience for me was great, just to say, okay, this is what it's going to take, and maybe to prepare my team a little bit better as far as, again, a new set of lights. But I think our conference does that. So if anything, I just learned that you just have to have persistence, and it takes time.
I know you've got Maya as a point guard this year. A, what are your expectations for her coming into this offense? And B, who's her backup?
So Maya has to lead us as far as floor general is concerned. That was the expectation, but even more so now that Brooke is out. Because Brooke was brought in to be that backup point guard. And then when, unfortunately, she got in that car accident and it ended her season this year, we had to start thinking about, okay, who else? We're kind of going to do like point guard by committee for the subs. Angel's a capable ball handler. Destiny Salary is someone that we're trying to prime up and be ready to go. This will be her third year in college, so we're like, come on, Des, we really need you to help us in that role. And then we'll run the offense, the way we're going to play, our forwards can run point. So, and we may have to do that to relieve some pressure from the guards. So, Maddie bringing it up and initiating our offense and all of our fours.
Can Maddie develop into a big-time scorer for you?
I don't know that that's Maddie's, like, I don't know that that's going to work for Maddie. I think what the reason why scouts in the W like Maddie, or the reason why she was picked second team, was her potential and her athleticism and just how she plays the game. I think you have to have a place. You have to have a package, like what you're about. And for Maddie, this year, she has to be either 14-8 kid or a 12-10 kid, and with leadership and great emotion. People are going to want that because of what she's able to do. Big-time scorer, I just don't know that that's her game. Kira was extremely gifted, and that's just what she did. The person that I'm going to expect to take that role would be Angel Baker. I think she's ready. Angel has on the team the most tournament experience. Not only did she go to the tournament last year, but she went 2 years at Wright State and played on the big stage. The one they lost to Texas A&M, and then the second time they beat Arkansas, and it was because of her. So I'm like, we're expecting her to be ready to go from that standpoint. But we do expect Maddie to be solid and defend at a high level, and offensively just be consistent anywhere from 2 to 4 points a quarter.
3-point shooting last year was sometimes a sore spot.
Oh, come on, it was awful.
So, is there some improvement to be expected there, and where does it come from?
Absolutely. I mean, this is my first time having a point guard that is 3-point capable. So Maya shoots the three. Obviously, Snutter is someone that everyone expects to be able to knock down the three. You have Ilana Eaton, Marquisha Davis, Taya Singleton. Now our 4 players can shoot threes. Ayanna Thompson can shoot threes. So, I'm saying this, and we may go over, but in the two games we've had, the close scrimmage and exhibition and inter squad, we have made more threes than we've ever made last year. So What does that mean? We'll find out. But we think, and then Ilana Eaton, coming out of high school, was a top 25 player in the country, and she went to Arkansas, an Arkansas kid. She's from Helena, Arkansas. But that's what she does. So she's a high-level three-point shooter.
I think you just may have kind of touched on this in one of those previous questions, but is there kind of a particular player that you've really been proud of to see from a maturation standpoint over the course of the offseason? Not just on the practice court, but kind of
Right.
as a teammate and then off the court.
Honestly, all of our returners have been forced to have to step up and act like they've been here before, just because we have so much newness. I think one of the things that will be different this year than last year, I feel like for the most part, if Kira came to play, we would win the game. And then everybody else just did their part. This will be our most complete team. But there are pros and cons to that because everyone has to do their part. So between tomorrow and Saturday, I'm going to, for the first time, give them their roles. Like, this is what we need from you. And the way we do it here at Ole Miss, like, I'll say this is how many points and rebounds I need from you, too. And then we have team defensive goals. And our team will be, like, put in a position where out of the 11, maybe, kids, or say, we expect offense from 8 kids, 6 of them have to bring what we think that they're going to bring to the table for us to be successful night in and night out.
I know you can't speak on this specifically, but generally speaking, what are your expectations for signing day next Wednesday?
Oh, this is a big class for us coming in, and I'm excited about it. We have one we won't even be able to announce just because she's overseas, and we want to kind of keep it hush just for her to complete some things that she's doing. But she's signing as well. I mean, we have a really 2020 was our really good class. This class is better. So I think we've grown tremendously. And then, transfer to the SIP. We're going to keep a couple and wait and do what we do. I think we found our formula here at Ole Miss, and it's simple, y'all. We want to get that 3.5 to 4, borderline 4-star kid, develop them throughout the course of their 4 years, freshmen, and then we want to get that 4-star transfer, and then we want to get 5-star international, and I think we've done that.
Potential cliffhangers out there?
Well, we're in a tussle right now. We are in a tussle right now. For one, and every year we go after a 5-star, whether we get them or not. And you've seen we've had success. We get them on campus, and so we're in a tussle for a 5-star. If she gets us, man, that'll really take us over the top. If she doesn't, we're really happy with our recruiting class, and then we're going to sit back and wait and go in the portal.
Last question I've got, but and I know you said you're focused on practice
Yeah.
and really haven't looked at Kennesaw State, but I doubt if I have a chance to talk to you
Yeah.
before Monday.
Okay, yeah, we can
So
talk about them. I know them.
What are the expectations?
Well, I'm very familiar with Kennesaw State because I was in the A-Sun, and so they're in the A-Sun, and so I play them every year, twice a year. And I'm also very familiar with the head coach. She's been there 2 years, Octavia Blue. She was at Miami when I was at Jacksonville, and I've just been knowing her for a very long time. They do have 3 Division I Power 5 transfers. I think, I forget where they're from, but they got 3, Purdue, Alabama, and there's another place. So they have 3 Power 5 transfers. They're going to be new and different. So they're going to have to, I'm sure they're going to be trying to figure things out. I don't expect it to be a Delta State game. I expect it to be a competitive game. And if we do what we're supposed to do, hopefully we come out on top. One of the things that early in the season when you don't know a lot about the team and the roster, Like you can see ours was very secretive. We didn't even put out a starting lineup. That was intentional. You have to just focus on you and who you are and what you do. So this game will allow us to really focus on us more than them because we don't know who's going to play, who they're going to put in and what they're going to do. We're going to have to rely on our system.
One last question.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
You had two players that left the program. Yeah. And Brooke is out because of a car wreck.
I know it.
What does that do to overall depth on this team?
You know what? It's interesting because I thought the whole thing was like, a cliche, but the smaller the numbers, the greater we became. I think, and I think it's because, when you think about when we acquired Bree Calhoun, it was after Brooke had gotten into the accident. It wasn't like she was just always on the roster. So that was going to be a hit or miss. I'm surprised that she left, but I think we both realized that she would have had to work pretty hard to get into the rotation. And she's a great kid, and so for that, I wanted her to stay around. But she's a kid that had a degree. We called. She left for vacation early to come and enroll in school, didn't even have a chance to go home and pack. She, if she, in her mind, if I'm not going to start, what am I doing? I already did what I needed to do. And then Marta was unique as well because she came down, and with international kids, it's going to be hit or miss. They're either going to be really homesick or they're going to stick it out. And she was just incredibly homesick. And so that's going to happen. I know it sounds like, oh, man, they lost two players and Brooke. But, Brooke was the one that was expected to be in the rotation heavy. Marta was a freshman. For me, I feel like I have more time to spend with the girls because it's fewer numbers. And I think after they both left, it really made us even stronger and better because now our team's focused and they understand they need each other.
The only thing I've heard is a car wreck. I mean, what happened to her and how?
With Brooke?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. So Brooke got in a terrible car accident over the summer. We were out recruiting, and I got a call early one morning from her mom saying that she was in a car wreck. And honestly, could have lost her life. We're really shocked that she's up and moving. That's a God thing because this kid, the time when I first saw her and spent time with her, y'all, she was in bad shape. And so her story is going to be incredible because now she's shooting in the gyms in Atlanta. And that is just not normal for the type of, she was in critical condition.
I mean,
Well, so she had to take the semester off, but she will enroll in January. You'll see her on the sidelines with us.
And then one final question for Coach.
Yeah, I mean, you referenced that 2020 recruiting class earlier. Looking back on it, what did you feel like that class kind of had in common from a Texas mentality standpoint? In hindsight, how big of a foundation was that kind of?
Oh, huge. I just think that group believed. And one thing I hate, all of them are not here. You got Jacoria Bracey transferred. She's at Southern Miss. We played them this year. And then you have Caitlin McGee. She's at South Florida. She's from South Florida. But Maddie and Snither are still here. And those kids just really believe. Maddie, first McDonald's All-American, men and women's. And it made a difference because it gave, if anything, it just gave me hope. Because I'm telling you, it was rough those first 2 years. And it also gives us a level of confidence because now I think about where we were to where we are. I can tell you this, we ain't in year 1 and 2 anymore. Well, we're a Power 5 team now. And so, and this group coming in, they're incredibly talented. I think my staff did a great job of identifying people that were under rocks, like those Snither Collins. You know, I had one evaluator text me the other day and said, oh, your one kid would have been ranked if you didn't hide her from the world, you know? So we were very tactical on, you know, keeping it real hush. I almost spoke on one, but we went into some places and got some kids that we probably shouldn't have gotten. I can't wait to talk about them next week.
Great, thanks everyone.
Thank y'all.
Okay, sure.
We'll players in next.
Yeah.